drinking summer shandy on Thursday. We so motherfucking out here, though. We never been this out here. Woo! So strange when it's changing the sea. What you know about Leonard Skinner? The whacker the intro, the hotter the verse every time, baby. Well, I've been working like a working man do. Got my act together, gonna walk all over you. Pressure pushing down on me, pushing down on you. Shit, let's raise the roof. Woo! About time, it's the era of the rebels. Cloud 9 in the air up in the vessels. Generation fearless, got a taste for weirdness. Flow on fire, that's the way my beard is. Hard times, jump starting the grind. It's all good, y'all. Things fall apart sometimes. Let it go, let me know when you're ready, though. Don't push me, cuz until the edge I'm close. When the time comes, ride for something. Or live to be 9 and then just die for nothing. Speak their heart, your baby, speak their mind. And I'ma play their part, and I'ma freak that rhyme one time for you. Rhyme one time for you. I'm an island, man. There ain't nothing else by me, man. And I drink enough whiskey to float a battleship around this bitch any motherfucking how. Wow. All up in a mix and the place to be. You down for the night, come form with me. Like ABC, like 1, 2, 3. As I breathe like a part of the sea.
Welcome to the Miserable Retail Slave Show. I'm coming to you from the Pod Shack outside beautiful Flint, Michigan, USA. My name is Randy. Tommy's over there. Say hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, geez.
Hello.
Where'd you go?
Try not to step on your toes there, boss man.
Boss man, I like that. I am the big boss man. Yes, that's my name. That's my new name. This is a show where we talk about, well, it's untitled right now. I need to come up with a clever name for this, but this is a show where we talk about stand-up comedy and comedy in general. This is right in Tommy's wheelhouse because he's such a successful comedian. You wouldn't even understand. Like, you all are blessed to even hear this all for free because he charges top dollar type of material. So this is going to be a show about comedy, and I think me and you have similar taste, I guess, when it comes to comedy. I like clever premises and clever wordplay or weird wordplay or unique ideas.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite type of comedy?
I really like storytelling, but I'm also really into just weird observational stuff that I've never really been that good at, but I absolutely love. So, just hey, I was thinking about this the other day has always been really appealing to me because it's not really. I mean, I kind of do that, but I'm more autobiographical, I guess, and more along the lines of, I guess I would say, like a Mike Birbiglia storyteller kind of thing with a lot of, as much jokes as I can think of to put in there. But I've always really appreciated I was walking down the road the other day and this happened and that happened. And so.
Yeah. Speaking of Mike Birbiglia, I heard the celebrity golf joke for the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah, I had never heard it before. It's so great. It's
oh my god!
It's basically a story.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I'm your celebrity.
Yeah, it's a real story and it's like 15 minutes, and it's great the whole time because it's a real story about him going to a celebrity golf tournament, and the people are disappointed that he was their celebrity.
Yeah,
and then he's supposed to perform at the end of the night, but before him, a kid gets up there and has leukemia, 11-year-old, gives a speech, everybody's crying.
Yeah.
He's crying.
Comedian.
Yeah. It's so good.
But I like how they play golf earlier before. That's the same one, right?
Yeah.
Where they actually play golf.
Yeah.
And they get there and he's like, I wonder who my celebrity's going to be.
Right, yeah.
And then he meets the people and he's like, oh no, I'm the celebrity. which is great. And he's like, I'm just apologizing the whole time.
Yeah. It's really good. You should look it up. It's on. I found it on YouTube. It's called Celebrity Golf.
I think it's off Secret Public Journal.
Yeah. Which I thought was, so I looked for the stand-up special, and it's not. It's just an album, which bummed me out. Or maybe it is, but I couldn't find it on streaming anywhere.
Yeah, Secret Public Journal. I think it is. I don't know. It's weird because I guess I don't know if he performed. He must have performed it live, right? I mean, there's laughter. So.
Yeah, he definitely performed it live. Like, who does a comedy album other than Adam Sandler in the recording studio?
Yeah, on Zoom.
Yeah, on Zoom. Oh, speaking of Adam Sandler, I was going to say, one of the bits that still sticks with me, I love it so much. It's from Adam Sandler's recent, when did it come out, like last year? His Netflix comedy special?
Yeah, last year.
One of the bits on there, it's just kind of a throwaway thing that he says, but it made me laugh so much, and I was like, how did nobody think about that before? It's the dick pic joke. Where he's like,
I don't know if
he's like, I was taking a dick pic, he's Adam Sandler, and it was a real nice dick, and I taking a picture and sending it to my wife, and there was a ghost in the background, and so I wanted to send it to all my friends, like I got a picture of a ghost, but my dick's in the picture too. He just goes on and on. I was like, oh, that's a clever premise, and I've never heard that before.
That's pretty funny. I watched Funny People again the other night. That's a good show, and then it just gets weird at the end.
Why? Because it gets emotional?
Yeah, it just takes a weird turn.
Well, I think that was the point, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, but it's funny. And Seth Rogen has like the best joke in that movie when he's doing stand up. Seth Rogen is Adam Sandler's opener, and he says something along the lines of, "I've never been really good with girls." He's like, guys will see a girl and they'll be like, "Man, I'm gonna fuck that girl. I'm gonna bang that girl so hard, man. I'm gonna bang her. I'm gonna do dirty things to that girl." And I see a girl, and my mind's just like, I'm a friend zone that girl, and I'm gonna go shopping and like hold the purse with that girl. So good.
You called attention to the other day, your friend and mentor Dave Landau on the Anthony Cumia Show. Check it out. But they did an interview with Dennis Miller, and I was like, oh, Dennis Miller, because I've never found him to be that hilarious. And like recently, I saw a tweet he put out, and it was just like trying to be funny, and it was just nonsense. It was like word soup. It was just all these big words thrown together, and it wasn't, I don't know, whatever. So you said it was good, so I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And Dennis Miller was really funny on that.
Yeah. If anybody gets a chance to subscribe to the Anthony Cumia Show on the Compound Network, or I mean, it's on YouTube right now. You can YouTube Anthony Cumia, Dennis Miller, and what it is Dave Landau's Anthony Cumia's co-host, and Miller was quickly smitten with Landau, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, he got him laughing with a couple of Huck Finn references, and I don't know.
Yeah, then he got and I mean, this is belly laughs from Miller where he had to stop the interview and ask about Dave and praise Dave, and then he did it again in the middle, and then at the end he was asking Dave again, all about himself, and saying he's going to go Google him right now and how funny he is. So it's really cool.
And Dave's like, "Oh, I actually opened for you 13 years ago. It's nice to meet you again." And I'm like, haha, Dave, that's how I feel every time I get reintroduced to you.
It's
son
funny.
of a bitch.
It's funny because when they said that, Miller's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that gig," because Dave said it was at Pine Knob in Detroit.
Right.
And Miller's like, "I remember that gig. Very nice people." He's like, they brought out a nice tin of lasagna.
Yeah, right.
Which I found to be very funny.
Did you text Dave right away? Oh, OMG, Dave, you're my hero. You made him laugh. LOL.
I mean, I did, but not those words.
I knew it. Oh, I knew it.
No, we had a nice conversation about it, and Dave was like, yeah, it was really validating. He's always been my favorite. And Dave brought up Bordello of Blood, and I forgot about that movie.
Oh, that's a good one. Why did he bring up Bordello of Blood?
Because Miller's in it.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. So,
I didn't
or
know
maybe
that.
he wrote something. I don't know. I have to look into it. But that's what I said. I said I forgot about that movie. So.
Yeah, it's a Tales from the Crypt thing.
Yeah. I think my mind went to remembering Dennis Miller in it, but maybe I don't know why he brought that up. I think it has been something to do with Miller. I figured my mind went to Dennis Miller being in the movie, but I haven't seen it in so long.
Dennis Miller was really funny on that. His rant about how Joe Biden isn't fit to do anything else but be a politician at the end of that was so good. He was like,
mow my lawn.
Yeah, Joe Biden looks like he's lost every time you look at him. There's nothing in between the eyes. He said Jeff Dunham should do a bit where Joe Biden is his puppet, because I feel like Mrs. Joe Biden is the puppet master right now. And
yeah. Miller was super funny on there. He had some good lines. He had some good. Yeah, the Biden thing was incredible.
Yeah, he was like, you wouldn't even want Joe Biden to mow your lawn, because he'd knock on the door with a bloody stump and say, and be like, oh, I did it wrong. And you would say, go be our leader then. That's all you're fit to do. But he was asked by Anthony, he was asked, where do you see comedy going after all this pandemic shit is over? And he said a thing. He said that there's a lot of funny things out there being made, and there's a lot of creative people out there, but you don't really want to be running point on comedy right now because there's too many people lying in the weeds looking to take you down. He said that if you're a young kid, if he was a young kid right now trying to break into the business, he didn't think he'd do it anymore, because comedy used to be a gateway into a TV show, which really is an 80s way of thinking.
Very much so.
Yeah. But now it's like way too dangerous. So
yeah, Shane Gillis getting kicked off SNL and stuff. So yeah.
So you're technically, Tommy, a bad boy right now.
So bad.
You're such a rebel. Do you agree with him though?
Kind of. I mean, it hasn't been my experience, knock on wood, but yeah, I mean, if you're tweeting stuff out there, or if you're on podcasts and you say something that somebody, just the wrong person doesn't like, then yeah, you could easily be canceled. But I mean, nobody's listening to Tommy Thompson, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah. Don't. We've got millions of listeners. What are you even talking about right now? Now, Shane Gillis, wasn't he on Legion of Skanks with Big J. Okerson or something?
I think he was a frequent guest on there.
Is that why he got fired? Something he said on there?
No, I think it was on his own podcast. He had his personal podcast, and I think he it was weird. He mimicked like a Chinese person or something like that. And it was like a bit that he was doing, and he did like the accent. I don't remember exactly. There might have been more to it than that, but it was something. Yeah,
I have it right here, what he said. I'm not going to repeat it, but I don't want to get canceled.
That's right. He was like mocking a Chinese, mimicking a Chinese person.
He was, and he used a particular racial slur for Chinese people.
Ah, okay. Okay. I figured there was something more to it. I remember not really looking into it that much, but yeah, he was on the Compound Network too, and I think he's off there now too, but I don't think they fired him or anything.
I don't know. I feel like maybe you can get away with the Chinese accent, maybe, but I don't know. The minute you start using racial slurs like that, you're just asking for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, sucks for him though. Or maybe you can use it as another platform to launch yourself from there. But as the guy who got fired, too edgy for SNL, I guess that's how you could market it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what's he got to market right now? I mean,
true.
He can't do shows, so I mean, he might be pushed to the wayside like the rest of us when this comes back. But I know that he made a tweet that said, "I'll always be the guy that made it to SNL, and you can't take that away from me." And somebody retweeted it and said, "Yeah, they just did."
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, obviously he meant they can't take away like him getting there, but it was really funny wordplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Shane, they just did.
And it's funny because we're covering Greg Giraldo's Midlife Vices, and I really liked it, but at the same time, I listened to it because I couldn't find the live performance. I found the album.
Yeah. You don't need it for this. I mean, he's just so fucking good that it doesn't matter.
But when I was listening to it, there was a few points where I was like, cancel culture. Oh, that'll get you in trouble. That'll get you in trouble. I don't think he could have done that today without a big to-do about a lot of things.
Very true. And that's what I was thinking I was like, we're going to review Midlife Vices. And then I started thinking, I'm like, fuck, we can't really review this album. I mean, like, there's a lot of things in there that the best thing about Greg is I notice when you really break him down is that he'll take on a subject, but he'll tell you his stance on the subject, and it's always progressive. And then he'll make fun of himself about the subject, and then he'll do like a more riskier joke about the subject. You know what I mean?
That's a very good point. There's the part where he talks about divorce, where he does that thing you just mentioned. Like he talks about how being gay obviously is not a choice, and he says that he happens to be attracted to women, and it sucks. It just means that every 10 years or so I have to give all my shit away and start from scratch, which is hilarious. But then he moves on from there. And talks about he says there's a level of gayness that seems to be on purpose, and he talks about the way this gay flight attendant talked to him. And he says, and he's like, well, that has to be a choice. Nobody's born. And then he
dial that back a little bit.
Yeah. And then he talks about how if somebody asked him, would he be upset if one of his 3 sons was gay? And he responds, how gay?
How gay?
Yeah.
If one of them brings their boyfriend to Thanksgiving and they start fisting the turkey.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, he takes a thing. He's, like you said, very progressive and makes the punchline and then gets worse from there.
But he dances around being offensive because I mean, I'm not going to speak for gay people, but I think like when he just says, you can dial that back a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's probably gay people that, would agree with that. There might be some that are offended by that. And I'm definitely not saying it. We got to be careful here, I guess. But I mean, he's Greg Giraldo, and he got away with a lot of stuff because he was so fucking smart. He was a Harvard trained lawyer.
Yeah, I know. I was reading up on him a little bit. I didn't know that. That's how he met Jeff Ross. That's how I knew Greg Giraldo mainly, and probably a lot of people do. He was on all those Comedy Central roasts in the mid to late 2000s. And usually he was the one that slayed the most. Like he was ruthless in the roasting.
The Larry the Cable Guy joke when he loses his shit and he just looks at Larry and screams, "How the fuck are you so popular?" One of my favorite things in the world. And Larry's dying too. Larry's like falling out of his chair because it's so fucking true, Yeah.
Well, wasn't Larry the Cable Guy like a real touring stand-up comedian before he got?
Yeah, Dan Witt.
Yeah. Before he stumbled. How did he ever stumble into that gimmick anyways? I don't even know.
He was a radio DJ and a stand-up comedian, and he would do these characters on the radio. And he had several of them. And Larry the Cable Guy was the one that people really latched onto. So, yeah, I don't know if it was his idea or somebody told him or whatever, but he just started going out and doing full shows. As I think he would do his characters in his stand-up too. I know he definitely did them on the radio, but somehow him or somebody got the idea to be like, hey, Larry's your big Dan, Dan Whitney. Larry's your big thing. So you should just be Larry and see how that goes. And then next thing, because if you watch Larry the Cable Guy, he's actually really good comedian. I mean, his material is so like centrally located in that I'm a dumb Southerner thing.
Right.
But the way he times his jokes and stuff and the way he commands the stage is like, you can tell that this dude, he didn't just pop up one day and be like, I'm going to be Larry the Cable Guy. It was years of experience. So.
Yeah, most people are there just to pay $100 just to hear him say, get her done, and then lose their fucking minds when he does say it. Like,
yeah, and so, Giraldo was known from the roast, but, like, I started comedy in 2010, and Midlife Vices came out in 2010, and I think that was, like, the first album I bought, like, right when I started, so, like, you'll hear, I think you might be able to notice there's a lot of similarities between my delivery and Greg's delivery, and I don't mean to. And what I mean by is Greg will start a premise and he'll kind of trip over his words, and he doesn't stop. He just keeps going. And I do that too. And I think it's more of a natural thing, I think, on both of our parts, but maybe I never corrected myself, subconsciously, because I was like, I don't know. I might have been, because you know how I am. I'm on stage and I'll start, saying something and it doesn't come out right, but I don't even acknowledge it. And Greg does that a lot. Yeah. A lot.
Well, every comedian has their tics. Like, I mentioned Mike Birbiglia earlier in the celebrity golf thing. And I noticed this before, but then I heard it in his earlier material because this celebrity golf was, I don't know, mid-2000s or whatever. He'll deliver a punchline and the audience will be laughing, but as soon as he delivers the punchline, he'll say, like that. Yeah. And it's just every comedian has something to that effect. I mean, Louis has something. Everybody does.
I think it's a good thing to keep those in there because it makes you more personable. But I never really, I've always listened to Midlife Vices. I probably haven't listened to it like as an album all the way through in at least 2 years, but I always go back and find my favorite clips. But I listened to it when we decided to do this, and I was really trying to break it down. And that's when I noticed, I'm like, Greg Giraldo will start a joke, and he'll just, like the other day I was walking down the street, and I saw this girl, and she was like, hey, and he repeats stuff, and he kind of stumbles a little bit, and I didn't realize how much I do that in my stuff too, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. How did you know about Greg Giraldo? Was it from the roast? Is that why you bought the album, or?
So I don't remember why I looked him up. I definitely knew him from the roast first, I would think, because the roasts were around before 2010 and I had seen them. I don't remember who told me to buy Midlife Vices or how I got a hold of Midlife Vices, but I just remember when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, this is the best stand-up comedy album ever. And like you said, I don't know if he could get away with it today, but it makes me cry laughing more than any album by far.
Yeah. He does that thing like Louis does where he strings together a bunch of nonsense phrases and it always makes me laugh. Like his very first joke is about ethnicity and like pride parades, and he creates a fictional pride parade called that celebrates the Albanian patron saint of cabbage's High Holy Feast Day, and that phrase alone just made me lose my mind because I love that. It's so ridiculous and so funny. And then he in the punchline, he says, oh, you're praising some cabbage god. And just those words together are so funny to me. Cabbage god. Like, that's so ridiculous and so great. And you're making fun of pride parades without mocking any particular ethnicity because, obviously nobody's praying to some cabbage god. He made this up. But the words strung together, you get the point. Like, you can make fun of...
Smart.
You can make fun of something, like... you can make fun of an ethnicity without making fun of an ethnicity, you know?
Yeah, that's why that's the Harvard, I guess. I mean, that just shows how smart he was, because like I mentioned earlier, he wouldn't just go out and make a joke for to make fun of somebody. He would make a joke in, I don't know, he would just craft or, word it where the people might want to try to get mad at him, but then if they really broke it down, they'd be like, well, he wasn't really saying anything that was bad. I mean, he uses really bad terminology sometimes, like the bachelorette party. I don't know if we can say that.
Right.
It's one of my favorite lines is the should I say it?
Yeah, he's talking about the World Trade Center's buildings were brought down, but it didn't stop this gaggle of squawking twats from buying penis straws and having a bachelorette party down the road.
With their penis finale on, the a hard man is good to find T-shirts.
Right.
It's your big day, Gina. It's your big day. We are going to the city, Gina. I don't give a fuck what those Mexicans did. Yeah. It's your big day. Which is great again, because he's not making fun of Mexicans, because the girl is wrong. You know what I mean?
She's just dumb. And the specific detail of the shirts, a hard man is good to find.
Yeah.
Like that's,
and the way he says it, a hard man is good to find. Just like the way that I envision the girl reading it to the other girl in the store,
He brings up the fat kid problem and the energy policy. Like he bounces around, and it all seems organic, the segues. And it probably shouldn't, but it does. Like he's effortless. Yeah, he starts off a joke with, "We can't have small cars in America because we have fat kids."
We have big fat kids.
and he says you're not supposed to be winded when you're on flat ground in 9, which is hilarious. Like it's a simple observation, but the way it's worded, and the truthfulness of it is hilarious. Yeah. And somehow he brings it around to the energy policies of America. It's very smart.
Is that the bit where he does the cotton candy? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
The one hopes that this cotton candy, a purveyor of cotton. What kind of 10-year-old says purveyor of cotton candy?
Yeah, it is that one. Yep.
Just makes fun of himself, because I don't know if he ever said that before. But.
Right. It's all considered one track on the album, but it's just effortless how and I'm not even sure how he manages to do the magician trick of, I'm talking about this, but here it is. We're talking about something else now. It's a valuable skill to have.
I mean, I think, again, subconsciously it's something that, like, I mean, obviously I don't do it at that level, but I mean, I think maybe that album molded my style more than I realized, because what I try to do is when I go into a different subject, I try to make the last joke or the last bit kind of lead into the next subject. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think maybe he taught me that without me even realizing it. But like you said, he just moves around so much, and it seems like he's up there. It's probably like a 45-minute, maybe a 50-minute album or set or whatever, but it seems like he just started at one thought and then just this is where he ended up, and it's just and if you watch the show, he paces a lot, which I always love to do, so that was cool. He doesn't just stand there, so maybe I got that from him too. But my favorite bit on the whole album is, and this taught me a lot, this taught me how to be honest on stage and how to be vulnerable. And it also taught me that if there's things in my past or in my present that I'm embarrassed by, or maybe some people would think, why is he talking about that? I don't know, just make it funny and like be real and be honest. Cause the bit is like, he's talking about how he can't drink anymore, but he wants to be, he said that they should change the drinking age to 40.
Right. Yeah.
because that's when you need it.
Yeah.
He's like, and it sucks because I can't drink now because I'm an alcoholic. And if I do get drunk, I'll end up at an after hours club doing crystal meth off a switchblade going, I hope I don't miss my flight in the morning, except for it's like 2 p.m. My flight was like 6 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, how did this happen?
Right.
My favorite fucking thing. Because and then he dies. He dies right after that album comes out.
Yeah, and, that's the other thing. When you're listening to this, there's a lot of drug and alcohol references, and it's really a bummer because he OD'd, didn't he? Yeah. They call it accidental overdose in a hotel room. Yep. Right. So that kind of hangs over it. Anytime he mentions that stuff, you kind of think about that and oh damn, Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark Maron has a really good YouTube clip about it because you can't really find any good interviews with just Giraldo, but Maron calls him. Yeah, because that was before WTF, wasn't it? So he was never on WTF. It was. I think he was just starting because the conversation. Maron recorded it, and I think he even mentions, I don't know why I recorded this or whatever, but he recorded it, and the conversation was talking about him doing a long interview with them. So they were setting it up, but it was kind of like a 5-minute interview, and it's really funny. And then Maron talks about he got the news, and Greg was in a coma. And then somebody had texted or somebody told Mark, hey, Greg's fine. And he's coming out of it or whatever. And then the next text was oh, he died. So he's like, he didn't really go into saying who told him, there was just rumors. The point was that there was just rumors that he was going to be okay. And then there was rumors that he wasn't. And then the next thing that he's just dead. So. Right. One of my favorite lines in the entire album is in that part you just talked about the drinking. He talks about women in the first part, and he talks about seeing a vagina for the first time. He goes, fuck, she's been injured. Did she sit on a landmine or something? We get this stitched up. Yeah. So funny. It made me realize I don't even know where women pee from. Yeah, because he's peed on by women. Yeah, the joke starts off. He sees a woman in the middle of New York just peeing on the sidewalk, and he's like, "It made me realize I don't even know where women pee from." Wait, let's rewind. He said I was walking down the sidewalk the other day, and I saw a woman peeing. On the sidewalk, and I'm like, "Wow, there's a New York moment for you." Right. Then I realized the stream was coming from a place that I wouldn't have thought. But yeah, go ahead. I will say there was a part of the special that I was like, oh, so that did influence Tommy. The part where he's talking about technology. The LOL? Yeah, it feels like that definitely influenced your technology and selfie joke. That was my favorite. I never thought about that, but that was my favorite. That was my favorite joke on there for the longest time because he's like, LOL, LOL. Everybody's LOL. Are we really laughing that much as a country? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, just having lunch, LOL. Yeah. Oh, what are you doing? Texting you, LOL. Yeah, he cackles maniacally. He's like, that would be one psychotic nation if we were just laughing all the time. Yeah, but I love how he follows it up with it. I'm addicted too. I'm walking around like a crack-addled praying mantis, just texting people. And the sexting, oh my God. He's like, I can't get into it because what I do is I get into too many text conversations with too many people and I end up texting the wrong person. I end up telling my mom that I needed her to pick up a 8-ball of Coke so I can fuck the shit out of her later. Yeah. He's like, you sexting. You have your cock in one hand and thesaurus in the other. Yeah. What's another word for throbbing? Oh, I love when his mom texts him back, like, dude, you can't get drunk on, or what she said, you can't get drunk on blow or something. Yeah. Which is just so great. And then he references, well, mom,
maybe if you treated me more and showed me more love, I wouldn't be such a drug addict and alcoholic. Frowny face.
Yeah.
So yeah, he references it again.
I honestly think the meanest thing in the entire special, the one time he was legitimately mean, was towards Michael Phelps when he makes fun of Michael Phelps' underbite.
Imagine the bong hits.
Yeah, he's like, he's got to be like a sperm whale feeding on krill as he makes his way through the pool.
And again, that had to have been planned because I think he knew Michael Phelps would probably be cool with it, and the only person that could get mad at him about it is Michael Phelps himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think he probably thought, like, what, I don't know, but I mean, it seems like a planned, like, okay, this guy's not really going to care if I make fun of him.
Speaking of plan, at one point there's a guy sleeping in the crowd that he calls out. Is that
That's
real?
So great. Yeah, that really happened.
Real?
Yeah, oh yeah. Greg was like that. He was like Patrice O'Neill, where he would just stop and point out weird things that was going on in the room. But yeah, that's great. He's like, he's like, there's a man sleeping in the front row. My big TV special.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. How's he saying? He's like, I don't go to your job and fall asleep watching you grow weed or whatever you do for a living.
Yeah.
And it was like a guy with dreadlocks. So he's like, there's a sleeping Rasta. He's like, why are you sleeping? It's like, I have a pretty good idea of why you might be a little groggy.
I think the joke we need to end it on is the China joke. Do we make anything in America other than porn and autistic kids? Everything else comes from China.
Hard. That's a hard hitting one. I mean, I'm glad that you said that one and not me.
Well, I mean, I didn't say it. It's his words. I'm quoting it, but it's funny. It's so funny.
Yeah, he's oh my God. And yeah, that's the best part of it right there. There's really nothing more to say other than that was awesome.
I think that's on purpose though. Like, he is like your friend and your buddy, and he like I mentioned in the beginning, he makes up the Albanian patron saint of cabbage or whatever.
Right.
But then he gets more and more meaner and real. Because I think it's like, oh, they're with me. I'm going to gradually ease into making fun of Michael Phelps. And by the way, America, what's up with you? I think that was by design,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything I think he does is by design, because he starts even before that with making fun of George Bush, which is one of my favorite bits, if you don't mind going into that for a minute. But he talks about George Bush is like a fake cowboy. he's like doing George Bush's voice. He's like, look at me, I'm a cowboy. Come out, mission accomplished. I'm a cowboy. Boom, boom, I'm a cowboy. He's like, you're a cowboy? Really? You went to Andover prep school. He was a cheerleader at Yale. He was as much as he said he was as less of a cowboy than that guy from the Village People.
Right.
Which is awesome. It's just great because he just calls him out. He's like, you're a cowboy? What? You went to Andover prep school and you were a cheerleader at Yale. Why do you have this cowboy persona all of a sudden?
I would definitely recommend this comedy special, though. If you're easily offended, I don't think it would be your cup of tea, maybe.
Right. It'd be interesting because I would like to know how, I mean, the autistic kid thing, I can see that being a big deal. I'm glad that's something I've never said. I don't think I would ever say it if I thought it. But Greg could get away with that stuff because he was Greg Giraldo. But yeah, it would be interesting to hear why people are offended by it, because I don't know. He does make fun of fat girls, but he does it in a way that's really funny because it's like very specific.
Yeah.
About the Puerto Rican that tied the two thongs together and jumped up on her boyfriend's ninja motorcycle and sped away with her ass up in the air. But again, those are his words. And again, I think he was part Puerto Rican. So maybe he thought he could get away with that, or maybe he just knows enough about Puerto Rican culture to know that those people would just laugh at it. I don't know.
Yeah,
At least back then.
it's weird though what people get offended by. You never know what's going to be the trigger. So
Right.
you never know what's going to be that trigger. So this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing this. And next week I want to do Jerry Seinfeld's new special that's dropping on Netflix May 5th.
Okay.
I don't know the name of it. Like 23. I don't know. I
saw it last night. I know what you're talking about. I saw it coming out. So
yeah. So I'm a big fan of the Seinfeld. I've seen him live. I'm curious to see how that is. I bet
I didn't like it until I saw him live.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. We'll talk about that. If you like this episode, or there's more of them coming like this, so recommend them to a friend. Tell everybody you know to listen. That would be great. I'm at mretailslave on Twitter. You can follow me there. And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.